Hey guys, what's up? This is Jonboy Meyers, and you are listening to the C-List Villains podcast. These guys are the cultivators of comic culture and cool.
Welcome again to another episode of the C-List Villains podcast. I'm your host, AJ the Comic Collector. I'm here again with E-Man, Red, Luke, and we've got a special guest, Jonboy Meyers.
What?
Woo! Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Thrilled to be here.
The acclaimed Jonboy Meyers.
That was exciting.
The acclaimed and the ever so popular cover artist for a lot of sold out books.
I'm not sure about him being a Yankee fan, though.
Oh, come on, man.
All right, well, thanks for being here, Jonboy. We really appreciate it.
All right, well, that's all for tonight, guys.
At least he's not a Dodger fan.
Just kidding, Jonboy.
No, it's okay. It's good to represent, man. I got nothing but love. So Bay Area too. Like I'm here in the Bay Area, so it's all good. I'm used to it.
I'm in the Bay too. I'm here in the East Bay.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's all Bay Area teams over here.
Well, I'm east of the East Bay. Way east.
He's in Stockton. So he's still, we're all in California, and then Luke's in Portland. So
oh
West
wow,
Coast here. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I mean, how are the shops going in your guys' local areas? Are they doing okay?
Mine seem to be thriving really well.
That's good.
Like I go to 3 specific shops. I don't see any sort of downsizing or anything or slowing down. Yeah. As a matter of fact, during COVID, one of them reopened to a bigger building. So
wow.
Yeah, that's one of the shops out here in Oakland too. They ended up pretty much relocating to a much bigger location. The other shop that's been around for a while, they're doing really well. And then the one that I normally go to in San Leandro, the guy was talking to me. He's like, yeah, even without cons, we're still making really good money. So people who aren't going to the cons, they're going to their LCSs, which is what we need. We need more people to go to the LCs and to their local comic book shops and start buying more books to keep them open and around.
Mm-hmm. I don't need them to go in my freaking comic shop, man. That speculation shit's like really bugging my collection abilities. I can't get any good books.
Here we go.
What's the rant here?
I swear, it's like everybody's speculating on one book. They go to my LCS. Like, okay, I'm trying to find this book. Oh fuck, dude! How am I supposed to get that book too?
Yeah,
it's tough out there.
Well, that's why you gotta do it ahead of time,
That's how most of these places are. What do you call it? They're thriving right now because people are playing this speculation game for books, and then creates a lot more business for our comic book stores.
It feels like the 90s all over again when people started discovering these books.
No, don't say
that. I don't want it to be, but it really feels like it, you know?
And in my honest opinion, it's a cop-out. I don't feel it is the 90s. I feel like it's a resurgence, but it's not
a resurgence. We're in the I'm telling you guys, we are in the golden era for collectibles. All collectibles. Enjoy this time. Bask in the glow.
Yeah, but you got the venture capitalists out there just taking up our hobby.
Oh, here we go.
No.
Well, it's a free market, though. I mean, what's stopping you guys from pulling your money and doing your own retailer variants? You know what I mean?
We've discussed this.
We have discussed this. No, that was Luke's idea.
Participate, man.
It's happening. It's happening, John Boy. Don't worry.
That was all Luke's idea right there. He's like, why don't we get together and try to do a store exclusive?
I mean, E-Man, this is also supposed to. We're also thinking about doing T-shirts.
So I've done a little experimenting on all of this stuff. I think comics are a little easier. Sometimes when you do shirts, the thing that you're going to run into is sizing, because if you do print on demand, it's more expensive, and your shirts will be like $20 to $30. Mm-hmm. But if you do print in bulk, it's cheaper, but then you're going to be sitting on a lot of product towards the end. So
right.
It's always better to try it out, where you guys do I don't know, like just start a Patreon page where you guys start giving away some content for free, and then build up your audience, and then start charging for certain episodes or certain creators for your content for whatever your Patreon page is. Maybe you guys for that fund that you guys get, you can use that money to apply to do your own exclusives that you can turn around and sell to your Patreons that you guys can do. Like, there's a lot of ways to make money in the market right now. I mean, I do agree in the sense that there's a lot of variant covers out there. For me, I think the fact that there's over 20 different copies of a Venom book kind of is like weird to me, but people have choice. If they want to buy that cover, they can. If they don't want to, they don't have to, you know.
Is there a sweet number, or how many variants a book can have before it gets
honestly
too overwhelming?
Well, you know, you talk to a guy who's doing a 1 in 1,000 copies.
Yeah. First of all,
which we're gonna get into for sure.
We are gonna get
I'm
into
standing
it.
up. I'm standing up right now. You are the king right now.
No.
You're at the top.
That 1 in 1,000 is insane. We're gonna get into that for sure, John Boy. We want to know how that happened, but
you know what though? That's to boom, because looking at all the covers I had to pick from, man, there's so many great covers. It's a huge honor. Like, I think it's just for me. I just wanted to do some good work that I thought would sell for Boom, that would get fans excited. Because like I try to do art that I think will sell. And like we'll get people excited to buy the book or do whatever. And you know, people are kind of conditioned to, you know, there's always a single shot of Keanu looking at you in all those movie posters. So I was like, okay, if I do something like that, people are already preconditioned to that is something that they're used to selling that they want. So I was like, oh, cool. So I'll do something like that. And
you didn't want to use the "Always Be My Maybe" Keanu, like the where he's kind of like a, I guess, like a douchebag.
Dude, he was pretty much a clean John Wick in that movie anyway. There's just no difference.
Well, it's kind of cool that he's spoofing himself. You know what I mean? Because he's just like, it's all, everything's in slow-mo. You know, I think
no joke, that was one of the best cameos in anything ever, in my opinion. That was so good because he was spoofing himself. He was having a good time doing it too, and I believed it. So it was great. I loved that movie, and then I loved it even more that he was able to do that to himself.
Yeah, and I'm a Randall Park fan too. So
Randall Park's funny.
He is.
Jimmy Woo.
That dude has flow.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, are you watching?
Oh, okay, no. Come on. I saw that. I don't think. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
I think for an Asian, he's got some good skills, man. I'm not gonna doubt that. You know what I mean? Because it's just like,
dude, I listened to his album too. What was the name of the group from the movie? Like, I have that on my Spotify.
Oh, I actually bought it. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's such a good album. What was it called?
He has an album? What do you?
Yeah, he's
like,
it's
from
like
Always Be My Maybe.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a minute.
Now I have to look for it, man. Now you've done it. Done did it now. So let's see here.
What was the name of the group? I have it right here. Oh, dang it.
Oh, not the Illos Koreans.
Hello Peril. That's the name of the group. Hello Peril. And he's got a song called "I Punched Keanu Reeves."
Can you guys hear this? No.
I can hear something.
No.
I hear
it a little bit.
There it is.
Okay, we have too much of that before we get a strike like on YouTube or something like that.
We don't have rights to that song.
Dude, that
no, we
album...
just played a couple of beats. It has to be more than 30 seconds for you to get.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
30 seconds.
But yeah, that album is amazing. It was so cool because it was so chill, and then with having Lyrics Born help them with the music, it was just a perfect Bay Area, just down chill album. I loved it.
Yeah, I just like being able to actually see people of color doing things outside the normal scope of what TV and movies try to give you, and kind of
not the stereotypical, kind of, what's that, being hooked to that one role, being the nice Asian guy or the nerdy Asian guy or your typical hood black guy, like.
Right. It's more about the narrative.
There's more range now.
Yes.
Yeah. It should be more about the narratives now, which I kind of like, because I think growing up, I think the only thing that we had that was like, quote unquote Asian was Mr. Miyagi and the Wii kind of locks off, right? Or like Sulu,
Bruce Lee,
and
Bruce Lee.
Well, Bruce Lee, of course, but you know, if you're born after 73, a lot of people don't know who Bruce Lee is. You know, growing up, and then you know you have
Ernie Reyes.
Ernie Reyes,
yeah,
you know?
Ernie Reyes Jr.
But that's kind of it. It's just like
Brandon Lee was. He could have been something.
He
but,
could
you
have
know,
been.
Could have been.
Right. Yeah. So
that was a shame.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you're saying that there's a possibility for a black James Bond?
Well,
Yeah,
I think
that's
to me, it's just like this. So you don't have to. This is just my thing. It's not anybody else's opinion. You don't have to hijack an existing narrative for a character to repurpose it. Just make a new character that is a person of color that is on par with that character. Because there's nothing to say that you can't take a character within the James Bond universe and have like 009 be this sick-ass ethnic person or person of color who is on par with James Bond or even helps James out or these things. It's you don't have to make Black Superman. You can just make a really cool character and you don't have to call him Black Superman. You know what I mean? It's just it's kind of like, you know, we don't have a guy called White Captain America. It's stupid, right? So
totally
I think you just make something that's interesting. I think Marvel has it built into where it's more of a mantle that could be passed, which is interesting. But you know, then you're competing against status quos, which can be dangerous in itself. But I think it's always better to just try to diversify and create a more diverse brand of characters and see what kind of floats up to the top now. You know what I mean? As far as like, let's just invest in these characters, make them really cool, make them really interesting, and see what happens. Like, you know, I think it's great that they have a Black Batman and things like that. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think my argument would be like, hey, look, like, why don't we create a character that's of a person of color that's on the same level as Punchline? We don't have to call them Batman. We don't have to call them this. They could be its own character. It can make it its own thing.
Yes.
And see what happens. It's just like, I think DC gets it because they're creating a bunch of new characters now, which is kind of exciting because most people
very excited about that.
Yeah, like what James Tynion is doing on the Bat books is pretty unprecedented. The dude's created like 4 new characters: Clown Hunter, Ghostmaker, Punchline, and now
Underbroker, Miracle Molly.
Yeah. So you know, it's pretty interesting that, you know, more creators are trying to create more new things, even though it's for a corporate machine. It's trying to diversify things a little bit within the Batman universe. I think it would be great that they just created a really cool character of color, because I mean, you have Duke, who's called the Signal, which it still kind of escapes me, because it's just like, well, if you fight crime and you're decked out in yellow.
But he fights crime in the day, though. That's the...
Oh, is that his thing?
I think so. I believe that was his thing. He's not a nighttime crime fighter. He fights in the day. That's why he wore the yellow. I believe. I'm not quite 100%
that makes
sure
sense then.
that.
So you got the rest of the Bat on, you have the night shift, and then you have one guy for day shift.
Maybe he goes to school at night. I don't know. Like,
I could be completely off on that, though.
Well, bringing in was it Ghostmaker?
Yeah, Ghostmaker.
Ghostmaker it feels like they're gonna try to put him on par with Batman, because he's got the money, he's got the suit, he's got the fighting style, he's unrefined, which makes him slightly different than Batman, and it feels as if he may be of Asian descent, because it was mentioned that he was mostly fighting in Southeast Asia. So and the way Jorge Jimenez drew him, it felt like he could be passed as Asian, and I'm looking forward to understanding more of Ghostmaker's back because of that, because we want to diversify more in comics.
Honestly, I think we're all kind of tired of seeing Batman like whip everyone's butt all the time and doing all this stuff, because it's just kind of like you're building up this thing to be, and it's like, look, let's humanize him a little bit. You know, it'd be really great to see Batman get hurt or breaks his arm and he's still fighting crime with a broken arm or things like that. Like, you want to see your characters arc. It's kind of like Game of Thrones, where characters start, they don't end up like the dog, right? Like that guy. Everyone hated him, right? But towards the end, The Hound, sorry.
Hound,
The Hound. There you go. Yeah, Hound dog.
Oh, God, yeah. Everyone hated him at first.
But him and Aya, they're like, dude, I'd watch a whole series of just those two kicking ass, doing whatever. You know, he arcs and you actually understand who this character is and who he's becoming, and he really is a knight. He has a strict code, he follows his king, but he tries to do what's right. And I think it's seeing those things within the characters that creates engagement. This is why I think people like cartoons a little bit more than comics, because cartoons, it takes more money to reboot a cartoon than it does a comic book. So, but like Teen Titans, that very first cartoon, those characters really arced over that whole long timeline. You know, people were really invested. At least I was. I always talked to Todd when when I was working on Spawn. I'm like, hey, it would be really great if we could tell stories where now that Al is human again, that there is a cost to being Spawn. He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, it would be really cool to jump ahead a couple of years every once in a while within the book. And he gets his arm cut off, and the suit makes him a demon arm, so he has to have a demon arm. He's got all these scars on him, or like he loses an eye and has a demon eye now, or something like that. Like there's a cost to being this character. There's something that is felt. That there's, it kind of adds to the narrative a little bit. I just think it just, because at any minute you could always hit the reset button and like, hey, that's all gone now. He's human again. Haha, everything's great.
This is why I don't think we're in a 90s bubble that E-Man brought up earlier, because the way our world is, it's pushing almost everything towards this common narrative. And the way people are like looking for meaning in their life, I think people are even looking to comics and collectibles as kind of an escape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So it's bigger than ever. I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, all of our culture is kind of now revolving around this. Whereas in the late 90s, it wasn't. It was just only comic books, maybe some really crappy movies. Blade was good, but
well, it's almost like the internet bubble, right? And that's the one thing, or the tech bubble, right? And that's what I'm afraid of. I'm hoping that we don't go through that bubble again and it bursts, like what happened with tech in the early 2000s, like what happened with the comic books in the late 90s. It feels like the 90s to me, because it feels like all of a sudden, or not all of a sudden, but a lot of people are involved and they want to start doing their comic books again. That's how it felt like in the 90s to me. I'm just hoping that we, as a community of collectors, can keep it going, can keep escalating this hobby to these wonderful levels that everyone's going to be involved. I have my kids involved in collecting now. I want it to keep growing myself. But because of what I've seen, I just don't want it to burst like what happened before.
I agree.
Yeah. The thing is, as far as calling it like a 90s bubble, we've been hearing this 90s bubble for the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
And when variants were coming out, like exclusive store variants, I was buying all of them. Like all the ones that I thought were hot, I was buying them.
Yeah. I was buying 4 or 5 a month.
Yeah. Within the last 2 years, maybe even 3 years, I've paused on that. But I still see other people are buying those variants, store exclusive. So the people who, like me and possibly Luke, we were getting on it in the very beginning. We've cooled off, but then there's still another group of people riding that wave right now, right?
They still sell out. They still sell out.
Like, do you buy it for the art? Do you buy it for the artist, or do you buy it just have, because it came out with 10 covers?
You have, look, Jonboy, you buy it for the artist. That's what you're supposed to do, because you're supporting the artist. You're getting them notoriety, and then hopefully that the next shop will be like, hey, look, you know what? Jonboy did an awesome cover for Golden Apple. Let's go ahead and do one for this shop. And that's what we within the community need to keep doing. Yes, sell them out, but don't be that jerk that tries to buy 15 of them. Buy 1 or 2.
You mean the flippers?
Yeah.
I mean, that happens, but I think you guys are talking about this 90s bubble, and I think what's different about this is like the internet bubble and the 90s bubble in comics. What sunk that were speculators. Those were people who were not really connected to fandom, who are just mom and pops that thought, well, like stocks is going to make me $1 million. I think what's different about this is you see more fans doing more retailer covers and things like that. These are actual shops. So they're investing in actual product they can turn around and sell and monetize. So this is more the run on variants and retailer incentives is more of a fan thing now that is kind of self-insulatory within its own culture, within the comics culture. There's a point though where it might hit saturation. You know, for me, I'm always like, hey, look, I try to limit to like maybe 2 or 3 per issue or whatever, you know, just the fact that you don't create a glut and then you spread it out between retailers who want to do it.
Yes.
You know? That way it's like everyone gets a little piece of the pie and you work with retailers, you know, because most of the ones that I see, it's all about the same retailers, and it becomes dangerous at that point because you're pushing all these smaller retailers who want to do it out. And I think everyone should, I think the thing should be everyone who wants to do one should be able to do one if they want to do it. But I think this is being fueled more by like retailers and fans versus speculators, which makes this market a little bit different. But I do think at some point it will hit market saturation because it's just like, you know, God, like BRZRKR has how many covers? It's a lot. I mean, it's a big, like at least 15, I think.
Oh, no more than Last Ronin, and Last Ronin did very well.
Yeah. I mean, I did some Snake Eyes ones. There was like I think over 30 covers for Snake Eyes. So
and that did work well too. Really well.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's just a market for it. It's good. My thing is just like, Joe, just if you can put out a variant cover, just make sure the art is great. Make sure it's a product that will sell for the shop. I think that's the thing that you always want to put forward. Now, I'm not saying that most variant covers look crappy. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like if you're going to do one, just make sure it looks good, that it's adding to elevate the market and not create a glut, you know, because if people don't like it, it won't move, you know, and then all of a sudden you have, you know, it becomes this thing where it crosses and the quality goes down, but the production goes up, you know, it's like, you don't want that. So
now, when you created your BRZRKR cover, Jonboy, what was the story behind? Did you color it or did you have someone color it?
So I color in tandem with a buddy of mine named Ryan Kinnaird. So when I'm working on it, once I digitally inked it up, I'll go in and do my color passes on it, figure out, okay, what kind of color scheme I want to do. Here's the effects that I'm thinking about. So I'll do a color pass on it and I'll just hand it off to Ryan. Or I'll say, okay, I see what you're doing. Something like this. And he'll kick it back to me and say, here you go, like this. I'm like, yes, but let me do this, maybe add this. And then what about that? He goes, yes, perfect, done.
So the process, it sounds like the process with creating this cover, because in my head, I thought it was along the lines of you as artists would, you know, you would sketch it out, pencil it in, you have like a final inked, then you send it over to someone else and they'll color it. It sounds like this time around, it was like you would draw a little bit, ink a little bit, let them color, and then you would come back.
I don't really trust other people with color too much, because like when I'm making a piece and I'm working on it, I kind of have something already in mind. That's what I love working with Ryan, because we worked together for so long, and it's just like he kind of knows my shorthand when I'm doing stuff. Like, hey, look, this is kind of what I want to go for, because I'm really big on mood and atmosphere in my stuff. Like I'm trying to invoke a certain sense of something, like, oh, that's badass, or that's like, hey, that's kind of intense looking, or something like that. Those are the things I'm always trying to go for and work towards when I'm doing that. So for me, I like to be able to be really involved in the color process, as far as like, because I'll swatch it, I'll do my fades, try to do as many effects as I can, and try and say, hey, this is kind of what I'm going for here. This is kind of what because for Ryan, then it gives him a thing to kind of stand on, because we kind of stand on each other's shoulders a little bit, instead of him just starting off from scratch, like, I don't know what this guy wants, you know, and he'll just do what he thinks needs to be done, versus me like, hey, this is what I was thinking. And then it's easier to improve when you have two brains on it to create something that's really, really cool, you know?
Speaking of colorists, it's funny you say that, because I can think of there's one artist in mind that does a lot of covers, and I'm like, man, I just can't get into it, and I realize I don't like the colors on the art, and I think that's one key thing that a lot of people don't really I don't want to say respect it, but there is a certain art to it that I don't think is really given. It's not given that the props that it really deserves.
Yeah, like colors create focus within the piece. They create mood, tense. Because when you look at certain movies like The Matrix, like Michael Bay movies are very orange and blue, versus say The Matrix is a very green movie. And they're using filters and colors to evoke a certain sense of what the world is like. So every time Neo is in the real world, it's got a kind of like grainy tinge to it. Makes it feel like it's like a shift in your mind, but it works on such subtleties that people don't really understand it sometimes. They just know like, oh, this is really cool, but they can't articulate why. But I mean, for me, I really care about the work that I do, and I want to make sure like when I'm on a job that, you know, they're getting the best out of me. You know, I want to make sure like I'm trying to give a really good cover to whoever's commissioning me to do that cover, to make sure that cover will sell from that shop. You know? I
always say the best covers, in my opinion, are the ones that are the most focused. And when you look at your Berserker piece, there's obviously one color palette that just is striking, and that's the red, pink hues. And when you're looking at it, there's really only one section that is completely white, and that's his eyes.
Yeah, you're directed to the face.
It brings you right to his eyes, right? When you look at all the other Berserker covers, I love them. They're awesome. But this is the one that just, you're looking at it, you're seeing these reds, these pinks, these oranges, and then you're just drawn right into that face and the eyes, and you're like, he is coming to kill me.
Well, of course, it's a forced perspective, right? It's coming at you from an angle.
Well, it's more about just like using just color to create focus, because for me, it's just like, well, in a cover, not the entire image is not important. It's where do you want the eye to sit on the most? What is the most important focal point on that? Like even with comic pages, what is the main panel that everything's kind of built around? What is the culmination of whatever that panel shot is, right? So for me, like on a cover, it's always about creating different values within it. And then the lightest value or the darkest value is the biggest area of intensity, because then that creates that focal point that kind of draws you in. Because then when you're looking at it, it's kind of like a photo where you kind of want to look at all the different layers within it. Like, oh, then it branches out, it kind of fades into the shadows. Like someone just hit him with a red light really quick. Like the original cover to that was it was all red, which was really cool.
Wow.
Once the book comes out, I'll pop it on Facebook. Like, hey, this is nice.
Hey, Jonboy, I wanted to ask you, when did you find out that your cover was going to be the 1 in 1,000? Was it the plan the whole time, or?
Honestly, like I had no idea. Somebody emailed me and like, hey, can I buy this cover? I'm like, what? Like, what cover is that? Like, they're like, well, your Keanu cover. I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, oh yeah, well, your Keanu cover is da 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 da. And I was like, what? And then that's how I found out. I was like,
you're like, let me think about it. Let me pause. Let me just take a breath.
So
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I was like, oh, well, that's cool. I was like, no, it's not for sale. Like, I'm not selling it right now. But let's see if
that's smart. Always take a pause. I always say, take a pause, let it breathe, and then make a decision.
Are you still doing traditional media, or are you getting?
Yeah, I'm doing both traditional and digital. So, okay, I just sent it to you guys. So, see if you guys can open it. So, you can't share that though with everybody else. Sorry.
We won't share.
Okay, so then
it's all
keep 14 classified.
I'm hosting this, so if I open it, everyone's gonna see it. So no. Yeah. You guys watching, you guys are not going to see it. I'm sorry, John.
So I can open it, right?
No.
Yeah, you can open it.
Yeah, we can open it. I messaged an artist yesterday, Jonboy. Nice. He's and I said, hey, are you going to sell your cover art? And he said, it's been approved. And I said, it's already for sale. They hadn't even let him know that they'd approved it, and it's already.
Did you ask me? Was that you?
No.
Somebody asked. I was like, yeah, I didn't know. So. But I was like, oh yeah. Like for me though, I've sold so much art. Like I don't think I'm gonna sell it. So I think I'm just gonna hold on to it for a while, just because.
I would hold on to it. I would enjoy it with your family, and then in the future, if you want to sell it, send it to Heritage and get 25K for it.
Yeah, Todd McFarlane has held on to everything, hasn't he? So, I mean, that's super, super smart. Not sell any of his original art until later, because that's his legacy. Why give it up?
Yeah, totally. Like, I think for me, I think I would cry if I sold that for like $500, and then like 2 years, 3 years later, someone's selling it for $10,000 on Heritage, and I'm just like,
oh man.
Well, you hear story. I've talked to Randy Emberlin and Mark Bagley. Those guys sold all their pages in the '90s for $100 to $200. First Carnage,
I know.
All those early ASM pages, and the buyers are now coming forward and saying, we feel terrible because these pages are now worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And what do they do? Nothing. You can't do anything now.
Well, I think if you sell it for big money, I think it'd be kind of cool. I think the right thing is just, hey, Mark Bagley, here's $5,000. I just sold it for $20,000 here. I'm gonna cut you in for $5,000.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that would be the right thing to do. But I mean, come on, this is human nature. People won't.
Yeah. Luke has a pretty cool story that's kind of similar, where he found a comic book somewhere, and a buddy of his sold it, and it got graded super high and kicked. Didn't he kick you back a little bit after he sold it, Luke?
Yeah, it got graded. It was a Walking Dead #1. It got graded a 9.9.
Nice.
And it ended up being sold for $15,000. Originally bought for $200 from an apartment. So.
Wow. But he gave you some money though, right? It's like, hey man, here's something. Like, at least.
Yeah, just. That wasn't mine dealer. Personally, but yeah, it was a different dealer. But yeah, that was a story that was told to me, and it just help your fellow man out, and good things will come back to you. I think.
Yeah. Did you guys see the cover too? Were you guys
that was dope.
I'll see it after the show. Otherwise, everyone else on the show, we're going to see it, and I can't do that.
Do you have? I know that you said that you're going to keep the cover, but I'm assuming there's like at least preliminary ones that you've got, or no?
Like preliminary? Oh, like sketches. Like a lot of my sketches are done digitally now.
Oh, okay.
Just for the sake of approvals. So like, hey, can you move that gun, or can you change this or do that? And it's easier to do it digitally and do a patch and then resend it, so you can get approvals faster.
Gotcha.
I think digital is a boom in a sense for speed and everything, but I mean, it just stinks that you don't really have much of an original anymore.
So as far as starting out on digital, what kind of equipment do you need to, get into that?
You can do it on an iPad Pro, or you could do it on a Surface, or you could do. As long as you have access to FTP where you can upload, art, it can be done on any digital medium. You can do it on a Cintiq like I do, or you could do it on a tablet or whatever. I think it's been great. Like, technology has opened it up so much for everybody that anybody can create art, on a professional level now, which is really nice, because things that it's a little weird though, because like things that would take people I know who are like masters to learn technique, now people just build a brush and do it in one click, and you're just like, well, there it is. And you're just like, dude, I was like, you know how hard that is to do that traditionally? And if you screw up, there's no back button. You have to start all over and white it out. It's like, it's crazy. But I mean, it's the, people are so sophisticated nowadays, the audiences, things are, you guys kind of demand more. It's like, we want it to be cool.
Right,
so.
right.
Is there, with regards to equipment, Jonboy, is there and we're not asking you to like promote anything, but is there for the up and coming artists, or for any kid out there that's listening, or any of your fans that really want to jump in and start creating something, is there a platform or a certain piece of equipment that you would recommend them start, or even for the intermediate guys who
and it's super cheap too. It's just pencil and paper. That's it. Like, it's good to just have some good foundational drawing skills, because if the power goes out, guess what? Your deadlines don't, and the work still needs to get done. And
great advice. Yeah.
And if the power goes out for me, I'm like, hey, you know what? I don't need digital to be awesome. I can my art desk right here.
Yeah.
I'll just finish this up like this. Boom, done. All right.
Now, when did you, Jonboy, when did you start? When did you graduate high school? Did you start in high school? Did you start as a kid later? When did you?
When I was like about 3 or 4 years old, there was a movie called The Black Hole that came out that blew my mind. And I would draw my own Black Hole comic books with Vincent and Old Bob fighting Maximilian, the big red robot. If you guys have ever seen The Black Hole.
I was actually watching that earlier today.
Come on. Do you have those? Do you have those pages still?
I don't. Well, I would sell them for like a quarter, and then we would
that's too cute.
Yeah,
that is adorable.
No, stupid, right?
I love it. He started hustling at 4 years old.
So yeah, we would work on them like all week, and I'd turn around some for a quarter so I can go buy a regular comic, because you're a stupid kid wiping your boogers. You don't know that it's like, no, this is like, a whole team went into this. They sell it for coffee. So, but I mean, it's, I've been doing comics since I was 4, and all the way up until about junior high. When I got into high school, I kind of stopped for a bit because the art teacher didn't really consider comic art. I didn't, for me, they were like, well, we're going to do still life stuff like draw oranges and shading. And for me, the thing is, I understand what he was trying to impart on me then. Was like, he's trying to teach me foundational skills for light and value. And I couldn't see past that, right? I can only see like, well, I want to draw superheroes. He's like, look, you can draw superheroes in your own time, but in this class, this is what you got to do. And I'm like,
no. When did you graduate high school?
91.
91. So that was totally like, it was all about like impressionism, realism. That's the way the art world was like in the 80s and 90s. So everyone was just so like pounding that.
They were down on comics, dude. And I was like, well, can you do a comics too? Can you draw cars? Can you do this? They're like, well, we're not drawing cars here. He's like, look, I understand what he was trying to do, because like he was trying to teach me light and value, negative space. He's trying to teach me those things, which probably would have made me a better artist if I would have toughed it out and did it. But I took art classes again in college, and I got right back into it.
Okay.
So I started doing all that stuff. Started doing painting, and
was it traditional art school, or where'd you do your
I went
studies?
to Midland, a place called Midland University in Nebraska, and it was a liberal arts college. So I got my degree. I got my Bachelor of Science degree. I was supposed to go and I wanted to be a forensic scientist, like Quincy. I wanted to be that guy. Yeah. You guys remember the TV show Quincy? I thought it was so cool to be a crime doctor, which is so dumb.
Okay. That's not dumb at all, actually.
No, but then I found out that they don't do that anymore, that it's the investigators that do all the evidence collection. And I'm like, well, this is why everything's screwed up all the time, because they don't know how to, preserve a crime scene. That's why. It's like, okay.
Well, they have criminologists now. They're just called criminologists, and that's all they do. They're like Barry Allen, they're the crime scene guys. kind
of, right? But then here's the thing too, though. So in Colorado Springs, I talked to the guy who was one of the pioneers for criminal science, and just this old guy is he was so mean and bitter. And he's like, yeah, whatever. You can talk to all the kids here, blah, blah, blah. I ain't got time for you. So I was talking to all these guys, and this guy was there, and he had just gotten out of school, and he just looked like he hated life. He was so over. I was like, hey man, like, aren't you excited to do this? He just looked at me, he goes, okay, so what did you want to be? I was like, be like Quincy. He goes, yeah, that's not real. I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, yeah, you know what I do? I was like, no. He goes, I run these blood samples all day. That's half my day. You know what the other half I do? I was like, what? He goes, I'm in court testifying about it. That's it. And he goes, kid, you can't screw up on any of these things, because you screw up on one thing, then guess what? You go back to court all over again. Yeah. You have to reprove everything else that you didn't screw up on all these other ones. He goes, I'm getting out. I'm going back in. I think he said he wanted to go back into like pharmacological stuff, like going back into a lab, because he just said, it just sucks. He just hated it. He's like, this is your life. So,
okay, this is kind of a joke, but not. My buddy is a criminologist for Portland PD. He says the other half of his day, he's swabbing buttholes.
Oh my god. Oh,
They didn't show that on CSI.
that's a little. That's too much. Too much information.
Right. Well,
You
like
mean, are they
all the science
deceased
stuff
buttholes?
all the science stuff you see on CSI is not exactly real science. It's not.
It's TV.
He
It's
said that's the
make-believe.
most data they can get from a dead person. They swab the, where it all comes out. They just,
The anus, huh?
The
Wow.
anus.
Oh, gee.
What did he eat the last time? What came out of it?
Oh jeez.
So that kind of dashed my career of wanting to do it. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go into art. And
Now, have you been? When are you full time art now? And when was the transition into that? Was it part time before, or was it?
Oh man, so this is right when I graduated with my degree, I applied. I'm like, you know what, I should have done this a lot sooner. I talked to people in the crime lab the summer before, and I was debating whether or not I wanted to graduate. And my art teacher's like, yeah, screw the science stuff. Why don't you just go into art? You're so good at it. And I'm just like, I don't know. But he encouraged me. So I applied to a couple art schools. I applied to Art Center and Cal Arts, and I flew out and visited both. And it was just like, wow, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Because I met a couple guys. I met a guy there named Chris Buck, who was showing me around. Really cool dude. And he's telling me like, hey man, don't even worry about graduating. He was at Cal Arts, and the place was just awesome. It was just like art everywhere. I was watching student films, and he's saying, yeah, you know what, dude, don't even sweat. He goes, usually after 2 years, he goes, most of us just drop out to go work on The Simpsons. I was like, oh that's cool. Our other animated stuff. And I was like, wow, this is great. I'm like, okay. But I got scared and I didn't do it. And then years later,
Oh no!
I didn't. I applied to the School of Visual Arts and I got accepted there, but I didn't go. It just, I think for me, like, I didn't really have the support, and I can't blame them, my folks. They didn't really understand a career in art,
Right.
Totally.
Because art is not like what it is today, where it's got a little more respect. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Comics have a little bit more respect because all these things now are translating, and there's more of a spotlight on it. People actually understand it. So I didn't do it. But years later, I was watching a movie and I was looking at the directors, and this guy's name popped up as a director for, I think, a Disney or animated feature or Blue Sky Animation, but it's Chris Buck. I was like, oh, damn.
That's the guy.
The same guy who's giving me a tour
Yeah.
all those years ago is now a director directing CG and animated features and stuff like that. And I'm like, I just went to that school. Who knows what I'd be doing now? But I mean, that's the thing about it, though, is like I'm still able to express myself and still do art and things like that. I think it's just I always encourage people who are really excited to get into art. I would always say, like, don't let a lack of means stop you from being creative. You don't need a Cintiq or a computer to create art. If you learn traditional methods, you learn how to draw and work on your craft. The transition to digital is the next step. It can be a little overwhelming at times, but you got a really good foundation for your work. Don't let a lack of resources stop you from being resourceful. You're really passionate about something and you feel like you've got some good talent on it, and you have people who are supportive of you, then I think you should definitely try it. Like the worst you could do is say, look, I tried this and I wasn't successful. Now I'm getting a real job, or whatever you want to call it. Fine. Yeah, that's cool. But I think, there's something to be said about taking a shot at something and giving it everything that you got to see if you have what it takes. Because I mean, I was always submitting comic stuff. Like my first show was in '91. At San Diego Comic-Con was my first show. And I showed work to everybody. And I would always go back every year and show work to people and stand in these big long queues. If you guys have ever been to Comic-Con, long queues.
We have never been, Jonboy. None of us have ever. Tell us about it.
Oh, well, so these, like, to show work at Comic-Con way back in the day when dinosaurs ruled the earth, And this is when the artist alleys were huge, like in 91, 92, 93. But these queues, we would stand in these long lines for like 4 or 5 hours just to show work for like 5 minutes and get like ripped apart. You know, some people, it'd be like less than 0.2% of people would walk out with an actual job, right?
But that's when Comic-Cons were more like an industry trade show where like artists would go to meet the editors and editors would look for those new talents. Now it's just like cosplay and insanity. But back then, people don't remember that it was like a trade show.
Yeah, it totally was. I remember Artist Alley being huge. They used to bring around McDonald's hamburgers and sodas for all the artists for lunch.
Oh, nice.
I mean, on this big cart. They're like, hey, kid, you want a hamburger and a soda? I was like, yeah. So, let's try it. You know, because I was showing work, and then I got to hang out with my favorite artists. Like, there was a guy named Rick Mays who, bless him, would sit down with me for like 2 hours trying to teach me perspective, and I had such a hard time with it. Because I think I have like artist dyslexia with certain things. I have a hard time with perspective, and I'm just like, what is this? He's just like, no, it's like this. He goes, look, Brian Seelfreeze taught me this. I'm gonna teach you. I can teach you this. And I was just like, I don't get it. But yeah, it was just man, it was a lot of good memories. But I think for me, making art has always been with me and something I always wanted to do. I think it's just I think if anybody has a real opportunity to take it to that next step and go to like an animation school or design school, and you've got some real talent, you should definitely do it. You know, I think fine art is a little bit more challenging, just with the simple fact that fine art is not exactly always about your art. It's about your network and the people around you who like your art, to help make it a thing. Not to say that fine art is not great. It is great. It's just, it's a tougher market to get into.
Well, you won't make any money until you're dead, sadly. Fine art.
Yeah, fine art is usually more about your network around you, the people who like your art and who those people are, because then they recommend it and it becomes a thing, you know?
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
It is.
Kind of. Really but comics is kind of like that too, because there's so many guys. Like there's a guy named Clay Mann. And I always tell Clay all the time, like, dude, you're so good. And he was just like, this is back when he was doing minor X-Men stuff, right? And I'm like, look, someone's going to figure it out one day. You're just going to blow up. And they finally, you know, people figured it out. And they put him on a Batman book. And he's just like, you know, he's just phenomenal now. And it's just, it's kind of like,
yes.
You know, I think it's just people getting that opportunity to shine a little bit. Prior to a couple of years ago, a lot of publishers, big name publishers, would not take chances on more cartoony art, you know, which is really challenging for me because I have a real cartoony style.
Well, Alex Ross really changed. I mean, he was kind of the king of the 90s, right? He put forth that whole like intense realism style that nobody could live up to. Right.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about, I think it becomes a preference. And preferences are dangerous because preferences can turn into prejudices very quickly because you think, well, that is how every book should look. And my thing is just like, look, a great property like Spider-Man or Batman can be anything. You know, a different style can fit anything. Like you can have a cartoonier style. You can have this, Batman could be this, Spider-Man could be this, could be all these things. Just this thing about it is it's still Spider-Man, it's still Batman. And I think that's what they're figuring out is because now they're like, well, we can have a black Batman or a black Spider-Man. Well, they could be multiverse, they could be this, it could be that. It doesn't matter now, you know, which I think that is a good thing because then it creates something where it's just like, hey, these types of things and styles, we're a little bit more open to it nowadays versus maybe 10 years ago. It was really tough.
Did you have like are you a fan of anime? Because I
love anime. Yeah, anime is a huge influence on my work.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. It's not quite anime, but there's tones of it in your art style.
Well, like I discovered a thing called Ninja Scroll.
Oh yeah,
I got a bootleg.
Yep.
A small little thing.
Yeah, I saw a quick YouTube video of a guy who actually purchased one of your pages, and he was talking about Ninja Scroll and how he was explaining, you know, the panels and what. It was a gorgeous looking panel too.
But you did a Ninja Scroll panel?
Yeah, I did. I worked on 3 issues in Ninja Scroll, and I kept it on model. I was so proud of that. I'm like, it's gonna be on model. I want to look like the cartoon as much as I can. And I mean, I wasn't that great of an artist then. I'm better now. I'm a little better now. But
what year was the Ninja Scroll art?
I want to say that was 11 years ago. So maybe
2010.
Maybe 2007. Maybe.
Was that right around when they were supposedly doing a sequel? Right when the short mini
that was at Wild
right?
when that was at Wildstorm. I was doing stuff at Wildstorm. So this is before the buyout at DC. So like maybe 2 or 3 years before the buyout. So man, it was long. I don't know. It was a long time ago, but yeah, that had a huge impression. I mean, I watch it over and over and over and over. And
that's
then
a classic too.
Somebody found, this is like back in GeoCities time for websites. Someone had a GeoCity site with all the Ninja Scroll model sheets on it. So I printed them all out, and I took them down to Kinko's and square bound them. And I would always look and use that as my reference when I was drawing. And then right when I got it back into comics again at the same time, and I rediscovered like these guys were like, these 5 guys were the biggest influences. It was Michael Golden, Arthur Adams, Jason Pearson, J. Scott Campbell, and Joe Madureira were like my guys.
Joe Mad, one of the best.
Yeah, super imprinted on me, and because they kind of had those same influences, kind of the anime style, high energy, a lot of movement, very expressive, and that was something that was really, like, for me, like, I still geek out with those guys, and like I think those guys for me are still what the pinnacle bar for what an artist is. And I feel like when I'm working on a piece, it's got to be that type of level, and that's kind of always what I'm kind of like, that ghost I'm always chasing, to try to be like, I want to be as good as my heroes. I want to be as good as that. Just still working on it. But I mean, you know, it's kind of nice to just get inspired, because like when you meet artists, you're like super like excited about work. You don't want to rain on their parade, you know, because like standing in those long lines at Comic-Con and getting ripped apart, it was hard not to take it personally, but I always remember like, look, this is to toughen me up and make me better.
It does.
Even though they were saying some mean things like, hey, this is the shittiest face I've ever seen. Your women are so ugly.
Oh, geez.
Oh my God, this is the ugliest woman I've ever seen. Like, oh my God, like, who draws a hand like this? But the thing about it is, I always...
Hey, at least you can draw a hand.
Well, like, I would always take notes. And the thing about it is it's kind of penning for golden comments. So if you take it to 10 different guys at a show, they're going to say some mean things, but take notes. And when you're done, feeling sorry for yourself, say, okay, this is to make me better. Then you go through and you check off everything that they said that was the same. Like, okay, crappy faces, this, women, hands, Okay, for that year's show, you pull back and say, you know what, this is my list, what I need to work on for next year. You know, and I always try to do at least 2 or 3 pages a month, and try to just improve, you know, and you always got to try to make time for art. I think it was always a challenge for me because, you know, like in my younger days, I mean, I would work like 12, 14-hour days, come home, eat, and then go draw till like midnight, and then wake up again like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and go work. I can't do that now, but you know, when you still have that same passion to create, I think, you know, don't let people stop you. You know, like
exactly.
Yeah. I know that we're cutting it close to. Oh,
that's cool. Sorry. Yeah, we kind of got off on a tangent. Sorry.
John, that was I
great.
mean, to hear your story of, it just blows my mind, honestly, to hear how you rose up through the ranks. And
I don't feel like I've arrived, man. Like I'm still
I don't know, a 1 in 1,000 variant. They picked yours.
But I mean, so you can't judge one piece.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Right?
I understand that.
Like,
but
you gotta remember, like,
several pieces. I mean,
so,
you did.
My heroes, my guys, my 5 guys, they've produced pages and pages and pages of work and have this whole big body of work. And I just feel like that's what I want to get towards. That is an achievement. That is what I want to work towards. And I think for me, like I'm so super thankful that people like my covers and things like that. I think it's just part of that way of trying to climb up there and use that one thing to try to get up there and trying to make that happen. I think it's just one cover, and I think one cover that people really like is really great. It just doesn't measure up against like the things that guys that who are a big influence on me have done. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like those are your art dads, and you want to achieve the same success as your art dads.
I hear you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just like
you've unlocked this achievement. What's the next step for you? Like, where do you want to see yourself now for the rest of the year?
I think for me, I want to keep doing covers, but I'm working on a creator-owned project called Princess Dragon Killer. So I've been working on that off and on for a couple of years now. It's just
which I wanted to ask, what's the update on Princess Dragon Killer?
It is
just an update.
No, it's moving along. Like, actually, I'm working with my editor where the pitch is done, and I'm working on the narrative stuff right now. So it's I think I've come to a point though that I've realized that I wanted to write the whole thing, but I'm like, you know what? I think it's probably better to co-write. Because my wife's like, hey, look, who's your team?
Yes, who's your team? Who has your back? Who's in your corner?
Right. And it's like, you can't do it all. Because she goes, look, if you do it all, she goes, I love you, but it's going to take you another like 3 or 4 years to get this thing done. And like, that's a long time. It's like, look, maybe you help co-write. It's like the pitch is done, everything, the Bible's done. Look, get someone to help you co-write so they can kind of do some of that lifting for you, and you can just focus on doing the art and making that shine and getting that done, you know? And she's totally right. It's like, well, I do have to build my team. And I think that comes to a point when you are a creator and become a creator, where you transition from artist to creator, and creator is someone who develops their own content and writes their own content as well as draw it. That's where you want to start doing bigger things. That's where, like, I'm trying to transition, like what my heroes have done. They're doing their own creator-owned projects, they're writing or co-writing. And I think that's the next step for me that I want to move into, is kind of creating my own stories and my own characters and doing my own thing a little bit. I love working for indies, and I love working for DC and Marvel. I think there's a little bit more freedom by doing your own thing, because there's no one telling you no, you can't draw this way, that's too cartoony, or this is too weird, or like, yeah, you can't decapitate somebody like that. I said,
this is where you get to create your own rules and not abide by anybody else's rules, which is the
your universe. You're the god of your universe. You create as you feel.
Yeah, you can do pretty much whatever you want. I think that's kind of freeing too, because then it lets you free up a little bit and try things that you normally wouldn't, because it's just like, I'm doing things now that it's just like, everyone's saying, oh, you're not supposed to be cartoony or this or that. And now I'm like, well, I can do whatever I want. So that's a nose. It's just a little triangle. How do you like that? You know?
Yeah, cartoony is in. Yeah. Cartoony is in.
Going back to, writing, have you ever thought about, if you were to just write the comic and have another artist collaborate with you, who would you want to collaborate with, where another artist would draw your story?
It would probably be any of those 5 heroes of mine. Would be great to get any of those guys to do it,
right.
But they'd be like, I don't want to work for you. It's like,
well, yeah, I mean, it's a collaborative.
Who the hell are you? I gotta listen to you. It's like, But I think it'd be, honestly, I think there's something to be said about being in a collaborative process, because at some point it gets a little self-masturbatory a little bit, where you're kind of like drinking your own Kool-Aid, like, this is the greatest thing. But, you're doing that in your own bubble. And I think when you're getting feedback and working with somebody else, they kind of help refine you and smooth you out. Like, hey, this thing's not working, or they'll bring a new layer to what you're doing. And I think that's the thing that's more fulfilling for me, because working on Spawn with Todd and Paul, they were so immersive and so collaborative. They always wanted me to like do more. Like, what are your ideas? What do you want to do? What do you want to see? Like, be involved in this process. I really like that. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. So
sorry to interrupt, but I mean, your Damian Wayne is the best looking Damian Wayne.
By far.
Well, they're doing Josh Williamson. And,
yes, I wanted to ask you about that too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think what I've seen looks pretty awesome. So
please tell me you'll be doing some variant covers for that.
I don't know. That's up to DC. So I don't know.
You've got to.
If they let me do it, I'll do it. But I think I'm only doing. I think I'm doing a Joker cover, and I think I might be doing a Batman retailer cover. I think that's
and Spawn in the 250s, some of the best Spawn covers out there by far.
Yeah.
I mean, really Spawn, good. I loved that version of Spawn as well for Image.
Yeah, I'm glad that Todd went back to the classic one, but I'm glad people still keep the mouth in there. So I was like, so. Like Spawn is having a huge resurgence now too, which is
I love it.
So
I love it.
But it's good. This is like, I think Todd was just like, I really hope this works. I said, look, we'll just stick with it and keep doing it. It'll be fine. Just make him cool again, you know? It's super exciting to see comics kind of make this resurgence a little bit. Like, I really love what DC's doing right now with Future State, like Dark Detective, like Dan Mora on that book. Wow, man, that's such a great book. I like the Harley Quinn book. Future State's really great.
Swamp Thing's really nice. Swamp Thing's great. I love that one.
I haven't read that one. Like,
I haven't either.
It's a nice surprise. That one's actually a really good, genuinely a good read. I was surprised at how much I really enjoyed Swamp Thing. That one. Get that one.
All right. So before we end the night, we want to do our picks of the week. And with our special guest here, Jonboy, he's going to start us off with what he wants to share for his picks of the week.
I would say some of the Future State books. I think you can't go wrong with Dark Detective, Dan Mora on art, and another book called Once in Future, published by Boom Studios. Again, Dan Mora on art. And Kieran Gillen on writing. Like, two books, one's supernatural, one's just kind of hard-boiled superhero kind of angst stuff. Really great stuff.
Red, you want to go next on your picks?
I got nothing.
Nothing? All right.
Classic.
Luke, he is not there.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
No, my picks of the week. Star Wars High Republic Adventures #1. Beautiful covers coming out for that book. I got the Yoda cover. I did have to pay $20 for it, but you know what? I was like, I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna wait. That's it's so cool. Yoda, it's got a big ass head and a big ass lightsaber. I'm buying it.
Wow.
Taskmaster #3, brand new character coming in, and we're going with a Korean, brand new. So hey, don't sleep on this book, you guys. Taskmaster #3, Brand. If you can get this for cover, buy. This is GameStop stock at $4 right now. People, get this book. Do not sleep on it. There's a brand new. This is going to be the silk of the Taskmaster universe, so don't sleep on it. Taskmaster #3.
Oh, that was it?
That was it. Yeah, those two.
I was waiting for more. I was like, is there more?
I know. I can keep going.
Bye.
I've got a few more. Star Wars. The main title, Star Wars High Republic, third printing did release too, and that's a really nice printing too.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Yeah,
I got that one too.
Really, really cool. There's just Radiant Black also dropped as well. I picked up the variant copy for that one. Radiant Black, of course, our friend of the show, Aaron Bartling. Jonboy, do you know Aaron Bartling? He's a rising star in the industry.
Is he a writer or artist?
He is a cover artist, and he did the Last Ronin.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And he is just he's a vet. He's a Army vet, and he just does absolutely beautiful work. Check him out, Aaron Bartling, if you want to.
Do you have a cover of his, or do you have anything of his?
Not on hand, but if you but if you see the Last Ronin with the 3 turtles putting their hands on the shoulder of the
there's a piece right there. Oh,
right there,
yeah.
This is Origin #1 from Aaron Bartling right here.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
But he did a really, really awesome cover for it. Up and comer Brant, he just came on the scene probably last July or so.
Oh wow.
brand new guy, but I fully expect him to start doing really big things here in the next few years. So, and that is my picks of the week.
Yep. Man, I got a few. So, Luke already talked about the High Republic #3, so I picked that up. I also picked up Radiant Black. This is one of the variants right here. I'm jumping on this one right here. This is a brand new book from Image. Supposedly, it's going to start their superhero crossover type event. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to be about. We talked about this one earlier, that Teen Titans #2.
Oh, yes.
Red X on it. I had to get this one. I got the HaHa #1 second printing.
Oh, nice.
Creepy looking, just old school
Super
classic
creepy.
clowns like that are just still creepy, you know. And it's a great read. Like, so it
is.
It's very Jokerish, but with a really good twist to it. So I'm really digging it. Plus, it's an anthology, so each issue is going to be completely different. Homesick Pilots. I'm actually about this book right here.
Okay.
What is that?
This is one of the variants right here. So Homesick Pilots is about a high school girl who gets pretty much sucked into this haunted house spirit world, and she's in charge of taking spirits from this world back to the haunted house, so that way they're away from the regular world. And her friends are now trying to find her, so they don't know what happened to her. They think she's dead, but she's also missing, so no body was recovered. But they don't know that she's in this spirit world trying to bring spirits away and bring them back to this haunted house.
Who publishes that?
This is Image.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
this is Image right here. This is drawn by Waters and Wingard is... I believe
That's cool. Yeah, it sounds interesting. I'll check it out.
It's I really like it. It's only up to issue 3, so I got the other. This is variant. This is a cover B, and that's the haunted house right there. They call it the Old James House. I really like it. It's 90s, very, you know, it spoke to me.
Nice.
This week, and I'm gonna jump on this with AJ. So this week I was able to get all 4 of the Necromorphous. AJ, thank you for introducing me to Necromorphous. This one right here ended up getting our Writer of the Year. We did an award show last year, Jonboy, which is super silly and fun. And,
that's cool.
And
it wasn't silly at all, actually. It ended up being very successful.
Silly. It was fun.
It was really awesome. It really was. I got the 1 in 10 Eternals #2.
Oh, that came out now, finally. Okay, yeah. Right on.
Yeah. I haven't read this one yet, but I've heard it was really good. So you know, I'm check that one out. And then my last one, I really like this book. So if you guys haven't jumped on AWA's Erratic.
Yes, it's a good book. Yeah,
I really like this book right here.
Very cool.
Very fun. Very cartoony. Jonboy, it's awesome.
My buddy,
right here.
That's my buddy Kari's book, man. If you love Spider-Man, young Spider-Man, it's in that same vein. It's so much fun.
Beautiful.
So I'm starting a little YouTube channel, and I'm just, you know, talking about the top 3 picks that I'm going to get for New Comic Book Day, and that's exactly what I said. That Erratic reminds me of old like Spider-Man, and not in a bad way either. It's really cool.
Nice.
And those were my picks of the week.
Yes, love it.
Nice. So my picks, I also got HaHa. I got 2 copies.
Oh wow!
What? You got 2?
Yeah.
Nice.
This is becoming my favorite read right now, and I had to get the 5th printing of issue #1, 7 Secrets.
My comic book shop ran out of all of those printings.
I think
you got one.
I think I'm gonna, like, yesterday I saw 2 shops still had the full issue 1 through 5. I think this weekend I might just get the whole thing.
Yeah, you have to add that to the collection just because it's awesome. That's a great
Secrets.
It's a great cover concept too, where it's stages. I was like, oh man, I wish I would have thought of that. It's great.
Are you reading that book too, Jonboy?
Yeah.
By any chance?
Yeah, I just did a cover for it. Yeah. So,
What?
Yeah,
Oh my God! I know what I'm selling my car.
Has it come out yet?
No, it's issue. I think it's issue.
It's got to be 6 or 7 then.
It might be 7 or 10. I can't remember.
Okay.
All right. Here
Is it
first.
retailer
Look for that cover, guys.
or
What's that?
Is it retailer or cover B?
I don't know. All the stuff I do for Boom, I don't know what it usually is. Like I'm doing a cover for a book called Orcs, It's for
Oh,
issue 3.
That just came out.
That just came out. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's for, I think, issue 3. So I think it's the 1 in 25 variant or something like that. I think those are the books that I'm doing.
Is it Orcs on Boombox? That's for the kids, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool though. Like, it's pretty interesting. I had no idea what it was. They sent me a PDF. They're like, "Do you want to do a cover for it?" I read it. I was like, "Yes, I'd love to."
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw it at the
cool.
shop. I'll probably pick it up then.
Yeah.
I'll grab it too.
Yeah.
I also got some Tea Time books. I got the second issue,
Yeah, you got that one too.
and I also got the second print of the first.
Oh,
My
I got
shop-
both too. Yeah, those.
My
are
shop was only allowing 1 per person for that Red X book.
good.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Same.
no
Just
hoarders.
one.
No hoarders. Yeah, good.
And then there
Yeah.
was another shop, and then I don't want to say the name, but there was another shop that was already selling it for slightly less than eBay prices. And I'm like,
Don't
come
call
on,
them
man,
out.
this-
It's okay. They're
it's-
doing their
it's-
thing.
They
You
got to do
know,
their thing.
You got to
They're
make your
doing their
money.
thing.
No
but-
comic book shop etiquette, man. You know it.
Yeah, I know.
I also picked up Radiant Black, just like everyone else.
Yeah. Okay, so I read Radiant Black in like the first half. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then it really picked up like in the third act of the book. I'm really looking forward to Radiant Black. I really am. I'm rooting high for Radiant Black and for Deep Beyond, those 2 books.
That looks pretty good too. The underwater one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great covers. Mirka does the covers, or who does it? No, she's writing it, right?
She's writing it. I think she
has
a
one
few
cover.
covers for it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
The
I
one
have
that
one
I
of the
saw was
covers.
really interesting. It had like an octopus in the background or something. Like, I
Was it
remember
that
looking at it like,
Peach?
man, the
Yeah.
cover alone looks really good.
Was it because I know Peach has one of the covers? She has a Virgin cover and she's got a sketch cover on that
I
one.
don't know.
But yeah, that one's an interesting. But it feels like an underwater Walking Dead sci-fi.
Oh.
So it's not in a bad way either. So like
Gotcha.
that's it's a fun read. I was really digging it.
I got Dark Detective also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a good book.
Yeah, it is. The interior from Dan Moore, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think the Batman office right now, everyone who's involved in that on all those books are really kicking butt right now. I think they getting back to that core of that character, which is really, really nice.
The
Super
Batman black and white stuff is really good too. Those are really
yeah,
great.
I'm looking forward to getting those. Like I ordered a bunch from Golden Apple, so I'm just waiting for them to come in. So I'm like,
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, anything that says Batman on it is actually DC's like top tier. It's the best. Even like the Batman Catwoman story is really intriguing to me.
I love
I'm
the art.
surprised. Yeah,
it's kind of weird where it's the first 2 issues are about geriatric characters.
Yeah, they are.
It's kind of like octogenarian retired heroes
Oh man,
on
yeah.
revenge
Like,
on
are
revenge twists.
are
It's
we
just like-
And
Following
she
them?
kills the Joker, right? Doesn't she,
Right.
Spoilers.
yes, yes.
We spoil books, so
All the time.
Yeah, she kills the Joker, an elderly Joker, after an elderly Batman dies of radiation poisoning or cancer.
Something
damn.
like that. Yeah.
It's so dark.
It is, but it's like you said, the art, the interior art
Oh,
of that
yeah.
book is wonderful.
Yeah, Clay's just hitting on all 4 cylinders. Man.
Yeah, he's doing great with that one.
Last but not least, this is my cover of the week. Low, Rick Remender.
Oh, yeah. Is that the last issue?
Last issue, issue 26.
Greg Tanichi, man.
Yeah,
Amazing.
his art is it's top notch. I stopped reading on issue 19, and then when I found out that it was ending, I picked up 26. So I need to get issues 20 through 25 to finish the story. But
Pick up the trades. The image trades are like, I think, are they $9.99 or $12.99?
yeah, but the thing is, I've got 1
Completionist.
through 19, and I got 26. Like the
It's only
collector in
5
me
issues.
has to finish it now.
Yeah.
The mind of a
Completist.
completionist.
It's a completionist.
I have to
thing
collect
right
it because I can't have like 19 issues, the last issue, and then the trade.
Yeah.
No, I gotta have the.
I feel your
Yeah.
pain. I'm the same way, dude. That's cool. Yeah.
That's what I ended up doing with Red. Like I was reading Gideon Falls and I stopped like at issue 15, and then when I found out that it was going to end, I think it was like issue 21 or 22, and Red actually found those missing issues for me at cover, so I got those to complete the
Nice.
run, and then I was able to finish the Gideon Falls.
It wasn't a hard hunt.
Oh, for me it is. It wasn't easy out here to find that, so I'm glad that you were able to find them for me, man. Thank you. So I'm able to complete my Gideon Falls run.
Right.
You can buy me dinner later.
I will. When all this is over, I owe you. Buy you some pot stickers
And a hand job.
Oh,
one
wow.
or two.
Wow.
Whoa,
Oh, wow.
whoa,
All
hey. Whoa.
Just
Off
got dark.
air.
Just got dark.
Behave, Red. We have a guest in the house. What is?
I thought he was one of the boys.
He's one of the boys.
We're trying not to scare him away. Red.
Locker room talk.
Those are great picks right there.
That was all my picks for the week. I know E-Man's got a rapid fire questions before
Rapid
we end
fire.
the show.
All
with
right.
Jonboy. Wait, hold on. Before we do that, shout out to Mark Romo, who was able to hook me up with the interview with Jonboy.
Mark's a good dude, man. Like he's
Thank you, Mark.
Actually, you guys should
Mark.
get on your show.
Thank you, Mark.
Man. He would fit right into your band full of villains.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Our
I know.
misfits.
He totally would.
Yeah, fit right in. Yeah.
Oh man,
He's a hoot, man. That guy's a great dude, man.
Yeah. Thank you again, Mark.
Yeah, thanks,
Shout
Mark.
out to Mark. All right, so rapid fire questions. Jonboy, there's 10 questions I'm going to be asking you. These 10 questions are kind of personal, maybe not. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's something that, helps the fans get to know you a little bit better outside of comics. So you ready? We got 10. Ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. Question number 1. Favorite home-cooked meal?
Spaghetti and meatballs.
Protein shake or potatoes and steak?
Protein shake.
Morning workout or evening run?
Morning workout.
Favorite vacation destination?
Hawaii.
Beer, wine, or kombucha?
Oh, beer.
Pencils or crayons?
Pencils.
Coke or Pepsi?
Do I have another choice? Coffee.
Favorite drink to keep you focused?
Coffee.
Favorite junk food?
Coffee.
And Star Wars or the black hole?
Oh, man.
Wait, did you have that pre-made or was that on the fly?
Pre-made. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not that good,
So
man.
I want to say Star Wars. It's just I'll say Star Wars. Like adult me says Star Wars, younger me, little kid me says black hole. But I'll say that because it's just like that movie made such an impression on me as a kid that I refuse to watch it as an adult because I'm afraid, like Thundercats, watching the old Thundercats cartoon is just rewatching them as an adult. It's going to ruin it for me, and I don't want those, like what I remember it was, to be ruined by what it is.
True.
You know?
So rewatch it. If anything, rewatch it for the nostalgia. Just remember how you felt when you first watched it.
No, I'm gonna feel like, was I on crack? What was I thinking? It's horrible, man. What is
Because those robots were like McDonald's versions of R2-D2 and some other Star Wars characters.
I thought those robots were actually pretty cool because they would actually fight and shoot laser beams and blow up stuff and kill things. So I was just like, and when you're a little kid, when things kill things, you think it's really cool.
That's
right?
right.
It's like, whoa, like he killed that robot.
Actually, he died. Look, Daddy's.
Yeah, because Maximilian, that thing, the red robot,
the
took
red
those blades out and he chop a guy up alive. You're just like, that's pretty dark for like a kid.
Yeah, it's really dark.
Yeah, and it's on Disney Plus, by the way. If you don't know, the Black Hole is now on Disney Plus.
I have not pulled the trigger on Disney Plus, guys. I have not done it. I have not. You know what? I'm on the fence because the Mandalorian and Captain Winter Soldier are going to be on there, and
WandaVision just picked up. It's freaking amazing right now.
I just signed up for HBO like last year, and I've got Netflix, and I'm just like, my wife's like, you don't even watch TV. We watch like an hour. I don't know. It's
well, do what you gotta do to keep you focused. We're still waiting for covers. We still need Princess Dragon Slayer to come out.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, Princess Dragon Killer. Yes,
Dragon
definitely. I'm excited. Once that's ready to roll, I'll reach back out to you guys.
I would
definitely. Yeah.
I'm super appreciative that you guys have me on and hang out with you guys.
Thanks for coming, Jonboy.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Just keep drawing, guys. If you're really passionate about it, just make comics. You don't need fancy computers or anything fancy or expensive to do stuff. I think just do it for the love of it.
Do it.
Yeah. And when you finally get there, try to do stuff that you're excited about doing and make your mark,
Yes.
always try to do stuff to elevate the industry if you can, because I think it's cool that it's just like when we're talking about Jorge Jimenez, and you can tell, and like Clayman, like all these guys, like when teams are really invested and on it, you just see that final product is just so good, man. You're just like, God, this is what comics is about, man. And I wish every book was like that, and you can tell when it's not. But I mean, the fact that like Stegman and Cates' last issue of Venom is 200, you're kind of like, what's Venom gonna be like? Like
iconic.
Yeah.
Or
iconic.
Is it even going to continue on? Because we're not sure if there's anything past 200.
No, it'll keep going.
Yeah, they'll use someone else. They'll probably bring back
Dylan. It's probably gonna be Dylan.
Either Dylan or Flash.
Virus or Flash. That's right.
Well, Flash is still alive. Flash is coming back.
Yeah.
Like Dylan's still alive. They didn't kill him.
They're gonna use one of those characters.
Watch those Venom 26. Watch that thing's gonna go up in value because of Virus. Virus is gonna come back. He's gonna be the next Venom, and everyone's gonna be happy about it. Watch.
I hope not. That would just ruin the whole book. You're just like everything, because then it's supposed to show you that nothing matters. And it's like Rick and Morty. You get there and it's like, okay, just forget it. He's gone. He's dead. This other guy's gonna do it.
I had them print me 200 copies of that free comic book day. Actually, I had a whole box printed for me.
A Virus?
Yeah, just to put away.
Hey, you never know.
They tossed him aside.
Watch, there's gonna be like a future Donny Cates or a future amazing writer that's gonna be like, you know what? There's that Virus guy. Let's try to use him in something, and they'll make it amazing.
The thing is, he looked cool though.
He did. He looked.
Well, I
really...
like Codex more, but I mean, Virus did look cool.
We're still on the fence with Codex because Codex is it could be something else.
Yeah, but Codex is kind of gone now, right?
Codex is gone. Gone.
No, he's still in the other world. He's still
in the other world.
Yeah. We don't know. Maybe he's the one who's going to come back in issue, 199 and start wreaking havoc. So we'll see what happens. I'm happy to see what Donny Cates is doing here. I'm good with this. So let's see what happens. I'm on the right till the end for sure.
Yeah.
Jonboy, before we go, are there how can people reach you? Are you opening up your commission list?
Conventions in the horizon.
Yeah, I'm no commission list right now. I'm hard at work on covers and wrapping up a video game project and working on Princess Dragon Killer. But you guys can find me at my website, which is www.jonboymeyers.com. I have a shop there too, so if you guys want to buy some exclusive covers, you can always run by over there and pick up a couple copies. That'd be always great. If not, definitely support your local comic book shop. And it's, start your own podcast, do something exciting, talk about comics, connect with other people. This is how we keep that thing going. I mean, it gets me excited. Now it makes me want to read some comics because
I know.
I want to read Homesick Pilots?
Homesick Pilots, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just like, that sounds so cool. So I'm like, I'm going to check it out now. So.
Pick up Necromorphous.
Necromorphous is crazy too, yes.
Yeah. It sounds like a weird rock band like War. What is like...
War.
The premise is crazy. We'll talk about it here in a little bit.
We'll talk about it.
Okay. Jonboy, you've inspired us. I really feel like my creative you've put so much back into us. It really has recharged our batteries. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. Anytime, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Sealess Villains podcast, your cultivators of the comic culture. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and email us at sealessvillains@gmail.com. You can also leave us a voicemail or text us at 209-975-7597. Be sure to join Luke Week's Facebook group, Rare Keys and First Appearance Comics. And you can follow us on our 2 Instagram accounts, Sealess Villains and Sealess Villains Podcast. Lastly, follow the villains on their separate IG accounts, at Luke Weeks, at Sealist Villainous Red, at Sealist E-Man, and I am at AJ the Comic Collector. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next episode.